All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by RMB Builders. You get in touch with Doug Thompson here in a few minutes as Dougie is... Oh, he's on hold? Oh, okay. I just texted him and said we're calling you in a few minutes. So Coach, I'm on hold. All right.
Oh.
All right, we're going to get to Doug Thompson here shortly as Dougie, of course, is up in Omaha. Been there, obviously calling every pitch. And some of Doug's reactions have been fantastic that we have caught on the Inside the Booth broadcast that Chris Blair brings us on YouTube, one of our favorites to watch. And Doug is up in Omaha getting set for the national championship game tonight. Dougie, good morning. Thank you for the time.
Good morning, fellas. Thank you for having me.
As always, when Doug is here, it's brought to you by our friends at the Louisiana Firefighters Association. Remember, the LouisianaFirefighters.com. This segment is brought to you by the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation, which aims to create a safer community, offering safety training courses to current Louisiana firefighters and first responders, as well as free training and consulting services, both for our community business owners, teachers, administrators. You can visit and get more information online at LouisianaFirefighters.com. The Louisiana Firefighters Foundation, aiming to make Louisiana a safer place. It feels like the entire state of Louisiana is in Omaha, Nebraska right now, as the Charles Schwab Field is purple and gold, and Doug has been on the call. Doug, let's start yesterday. Obviously, I want you to get to the Alabama example, but tell me what you saw in that game, because I think when everybody sees 24-3, 24-4, yeah, it looks like a blowout, but for 4 or 5 innings, it felt like LSU had their opportunities.
Wait, what game? We played yesterday?
I like it.
Yeah, man, it was just a crazy kind of game. LSU looked great early on, had a chance to really do some damage early, and just didn't take advantage of those opportunities against a really good pitcher, Hurston Waldrop, who walked 8 batters through 3 innings, gave the Tigers all kinds of opportunity. But baseball's a funny game. They just weren't able to take advantage, and after that, Florida really started to hit the ball. A home run left the park, or a grand slam to kind of start the wheels moving for them. And then after that, they were just fairly unstoppable, which sometimes can happen. Hitting's contagious, and the LSU just didn't have an answer to stop them yesterday. But that game's said and done now, and we've got to focus on the one today, which is the only one that matters.
Take me back to Alabama, 1997. To the mental hurdle that you guys had to cross over after getting beat in the conference tournament. Was it 28-3, I believe, was the final, and then you guys faced off against them in the national championship game and beat them. What was the mental part of that like?
That's not exactly it. So we had 3 games left in the regular season. The last 3 games of the regular season were in Tuscaloosa. All we had to do was win 1 game to win the SEC championship. We lost on Friday night, and Saturday they beat us 28-2, which of course is well documented. And then Sunday we came back to beat them in Tuscaloosa to win the SEC. So, I don't remember much about it. I remember we couldn't stop them on that Saturday, but I do know this, and I'm positive about this. That team, the people that were on that team, I can guarantee you that driving up to Alabama on that Sunday, when we got off that bus, not one single player believed that Alabama was better than LSU. Mm-hmm. Not one player. And that's a must today, right? Like this team has to forget that. And the biggest thing, the most important thing is that they believe that they're the better team, that they believe that they're going to win today, that they believe that they're going to be the national championship. They have to. It's one of those situations where you have to, you have to increase your level of, your heighten your awareness to be excellent. And that's what the task at hand today. Look, belief is one of the toughest things to do. Sincere, true belief in oneself or one's ability. And today, the entire team is going to have to come together and really have some sincere belief that they can win this game and that they will win this game.
When LSU pitches Paul Skenes routinely this season, they've been the best team in the country. Do you expect to see him tonight?
I do, in some capacity. I don't know that he'll start the game, but I think that we'll see him at some point should LSU need him.
How would you handle the pitching tonight if you're talking about you expect to see Skenes? Where would you go?
Yeah, I think I'd go Hurd, Cooper Griffin Herring in the middle, and then Skenes at the end. That's the way I think I'd run it out there.
Doug, from a pitching standpoint, somebody that has, you've played that position for a long time, if battling the flu, if battling something like Cooper has yesterday with the stomach bug that was well reported, what's the bounce back like on that?
Ooh, depends on how bad it was, depends on how much fluid he lost yesterday. That stomach bug could be a lot of different things, right? I mean, it could be really bad where he couldn't keep anything down yesterday, and it could just be his stomach hurt. I don't really know how bad it was for him, but if it was the one where he was literally in the bathroom all day and just couldn't keep anything down, then it would be very difficult to come back and pitch today. I'm sure he's had IVs and fluids and things of that nature. But it won't be easy. Look, these guys have run a gamut, 7 games in 9 days. It's been quite the run here, and they're exhausted. But today I expect everyone to be, to bounce back and be ready for this game.
Yeah, this will be game 8 in 10 days for LSU in Omaha. So it has been a grind, a Major League Baseball type grind. Dougie, what would be your message to Jordan Thompson today?
You got to flush it. I mean, there's no other option. Like none of the at bats before this, not in either the 30 or 25 here in Omaha, any of the 180 you've had before Omaha matter. Nothing matters that anybody's done all year. Everybody starts on a clean slate today, and this story with Jordan Thompson is setting up so beautifully for him to get a big hit today and be a hero. I mean, that's how baseball works, and I would sure love to see that for this kid, but he's got to stay tough, and he's got to keep playing the best defense that he can and put forth his best effort. Baseball can be a brutal, brutal game, and it certainly has been for Jordan Thompson. But, I think it's absurd that people are being so tough on him right now on social media and other places. And there's no way you take that kid out of the lineup. He started 69 of 69 games up to this point, and he's a big reason that why you're here. So, I think Jordan Thompson's just got to try to flush it like the rest of the team has to flush yesterday and come out there ready today to kick some ass.
Doug, this is the first time that LSU has seen Florida all season, even though being in the conference and playing alongside them in the conference tournament. What do you make of the Gators now seeing them for 20-plus innings over the last 48 hours?
Well, they can obviously swing it, and, you can see why they were the best team in the SEC or won the SEC championship. I mean, I think that the 2 best teams in college baseball are here, and they're playing in the national championship game, and that's the way it should be. So they've got dudes, they've got arms, and they've even got some momentum after yesterday's game, and they'll be the home team today. So I think LSU is going to have to come out early and often. And hopefully put up some numbers. We expect Caglione to start for Florida. If you look at his season statistics, and you'll see that he's been a little bit wild at times, even walked as many as 8 batters in 3 innings. And he's been hit and given up some runs. So certainly not unhittable. The task is not impossible, but Florida's got a great team, but so does LSU. And, I really like the Tigers today to come out there and turn things around.
Doug Thompson joining us from Omaha, 6 o'clock first pitch with a national championship on the line. Doug, obviously we can talk about these stories when you guys get back and after the Natty, but real quick, this run has been magical, man, to get to this point. I don't want to, blow the candles out before the party's over, but I mean, can you just give me your point of view? I mean, some of the videos we've seen of you leaving the press box because you're so emotional, and some of these hits have been fantastic just to see the raw emotion of it. I mean, I'd love to have a hidden camera on the living room with our crew too. I mean, people just jumping around, and it's been such a fun run. What has it been like up in Omaha?
It's a great word to describe it. When Skip Bertman was at LSU when, in the 90s when LSU baseball was at its peak, right? There was absolutely some level of magic around that program when you consider Warren Morris and Ray Wright jumping over the fence and Tom Bernhardt and all the things that happened over that decade for LSU to bring home 5 national championships. And, man, I've really felt that magic. I've really felt that magic here in Omaha. I think Jay Johnson has tapped back into it. And I think LSU is going to be right at the top of the charts here for the next 5-10 years, the same way it was in the 90s, especially with the transfer portal. I mean, what college baseball player that was a dude this year that turned on that game yesterday, even yesterday, despite that loss, and looked at Omaha's and saw the crowd. I'm sure you could see it on TV that it's pretty clear LSU has more people here than Florida. But what kid wouldn't want to be at LSU when they see that, right? So I really do think that whatever that magic vein is that existed before, Jay Johnson has tapped into it, and I'm very hopeful that he can keep it because it's very special. It's so reminiscent of the late 90s. I wish you guys could see the send-off here, for example, today at the downtown Hilton. It is wall to wall, like almost uncomfortable to be down in that lobby when they leave because it is so jam-packed. There's so much passion. There's so much emotion. There's so much positive energy around this team and supporting this team. And I'm just really hopeful everybody can tap back into that today and bring the Tigers home a national championship.
Yeah, not only what it looks like visually, what it sounds like through the television.
It's truthfully amazing.
It sounds like the old box. I mean, it sounds kind of like vintage LSU baseball.
It roars. I mean, there's a roar, right? There's a roar in the hotel. You can actually, feel yourself shaking when these people are chanting LSU and Go Tigers. It's just a really cool experience, and there's some magic that's getting pumped back into the program. But everybody's got to believe today, not just LSU. The only ones that matter are the players, if they truly believe or not. But don't give up on those Tigers just yet. Hopefully we get a lot of support today, not only here, but with people watching at home as well.
All right, this is going to be a long day for everybody. It's going to be a long day for us waiting on the first pitch. How long of a day is it for the players? How do you handle today if you're a player?
Oh man, that was one of my worst things, Jordy, as a player, is watching the clock, feeling like an hour went by and only a minute is passed on the, on the clock. It's going to be tough. They've got to stay, they've got to stay locked in. They've got to stay rested and hydrated and just try to stay focused all day. Coach Jay Johnson, he's really, really good at preparing his team for battles. So today will be no different. And look, I do like today the game at 6 o'clock. LSU has played every game here in Omaha at 6 o'clock except for yesterday. So imagine, being here for 7 or 8 days, having this routine that includes, preparing and leaving the hotel around 2:15 or 3 o'clock. And then yesterday, out of nowhere, they're leaving the hotel at 10:15 a.m. So a lot of different, a lot of difference there. And hopefully today's game being at 6 o'clock can get the Tigers back on track to where they were when they were playing so great before yesterday.
Remember about the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation. They're online at louisianafirefighters.com. They're aiming to make Louisiana a safer place, and you can find out by getting in touch with them online about how you as a business owner, or if you're a teacher, administrator, how you can make your safe place, you can make your workplace extremely safer by getting in touch with the Louisiana Firefighters at louisianafirefighters.com. And every week, Doug Thompson's spot is brought to you by those guys over there at louisianafirefighters.com. Doug, have a great call tonight, man. It's been incredible to watch you and Chris from the booth, and man, your raw emotion it plays so well in listening and following the Tigers. I appreciate it, brother.
Well, we love our Tigers up here. We're having a blast. Thank you so much for having me, and you guys have a great day, and try to do your best to not go crazy between now and 6 o'clock.
It'll be a long time. We appreciate it, Dougie. Thank you, man. There he is, Doug Thompson from the LSU Sports Radio Network. He'll be on the call tonight as LSU and Florida will square off 6 p.m. for a national championship, and a little bit there from Doug, as he can reference that Alabama series, that last series of 1997 where Doug was the ace on that staff. They had to get a win, just one win in Tuscaloosa to win the league, and they couldn't do it. Friday night, Doug got beat. Saturday, they put up 28 runs on Alabama, and then Sunday they showed up to the park and got the win. They squared off against Bama in the national championship a couple of weeks later and just bludgeoned the Tide for their 5th national championship. So hopefully there can be a little bit of correlation, something that's a little familiar for LSU that can carry over today for the Tigers in the sense of, look, after getting their brains beat out like they did yesterday by Florida, if you can turn this thing around real quick and get it back on track, because, I believe what Doug said, and I could feel it, man, especially for people that were there during those skip days where he was building it, and I had a chance as just a kid, as just a young fan, to be, a part of that, just, like everybody else was, from the fan experience and really gripping onto that run and going to Omaha a couple of times with those skip programs and seeing and feeling the magic around LSU baseball that truly exists in the postseason. I mean, there is something to that you have felt over this last week and a half through some of these Tommy White home runs, through some of these, these Cade Beloso home runs, through these Gavin Dugas home runs. I mean, some of these situations and scenarios have been very reminiscent of LSU baseball when it was, at the top of its magic. So hopefully they can find some of that magic today. Where you've got one game to win one game, and if you win it, you're the best team in the country this season. This has obviously been LSU's goal since day one. This is something that this team has talked about since its opening meeting back in January. This is something that they've publicly put out there that this is their goal. This is what they're going after. At times in this tournament, you've looked up and you've said, man, they feel like they're the best team here. I mean, whether it was going through that bracket that featured Wake Forest and Tennessee and facing off against Florida in game one, where they relied on some of that magic, and some of that magic was able to bail them out, right?
On Saturday, LSU looked like the obvious heir to the college baseball throne. And then yesterday was a little different. And they might have a little harder time mentally recovering from that. But I still think that if anybody can silence the Gator bats, it's Skenes.
No doubt.
And if you want to know what the former Major League, probably, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but Kirk Schilling, somebody asked Kirk Schilling if Skenes should pitch today. This is what he said.
3 days west at what, 20, 21? I mean, that's my first thought.
Yeah.
Like, really. You're talking 6'7", 250, 260 at 21 years old, 22 years old.
Body's rubber.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I know that the Pittsburgh Pirates are looking at him and saying he's our investment. We're about, hey, Paul, we're about to give you millions of dollars. Just sit this game out. You're like, hell no. I mean, it's easy for me. I don't have the millions sitting on the table looking at me.
Right.
Right? I mean, I don't have the Pittsburgh Pirates general manager on speakerphone in my hotel room speaking to me today. And I don't know if that's happening, but I imagine it is. I imagine somebody within that organization is speaking to Paul Skenes' camp, his agent, his money guy, his Jay Johnson. And if it comes down to Skenes, there's no way. There's no possible way that he could walk away from this scenario, right? I mean, we talked about it on Thursday morning. If Skenes takes the ball versus Wake Forest, which he did, goes out there and becomes Paul Skenes, he now lives in kind of a realm that feels, like you got to have a couple of VIP tickets to get into. I mean, like you better know like the password to the password to get into the realm of historical references that Joe Burrow and Shaquille O'Neal and Simone Augustus and Paul Skenes lives in.